And welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today, guys, we're going to be jumping down into the world of Bitcoin, taking a look at what's been going on most recently and what we think is likely to happen next. Now, as I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you have not yet joined us in Discord, you are missing a trick. Linked in the description down below is the first place that we go to notify you of the ins and the outs of everything that is going on in the crypto space. It's completely free, fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. Check it out in the description below. Okay, let's make a start here. Bitcoin paired up with USDT on the hourly chart, and Binance is our data source. And as you can kind of see here, we are back down in our demand zone, following on from what we were talking about over the weekend. Specifically with this triangular pattern, we were talking about either coming straight down into the demand zone or going up into the supply zone first. We went up into the supply zone, and now we're back down in the demand zone. Okay, pretty much typical. We're trading sideways between these ranges, right? So we are still looking at coming down a fraction further. So we're going to talk about that in a moment here. Okay, as we see this little area here, just trading sideways. Now, the obvious thing is that this, at least when I did this video this morning on Twitch, we were actually looking more like this. We actually had this wick just break down here. You can't barely actually see it, but you can kind of see it just in the that little area just there on that yellow bit. And this was basically looking like an ascending triangular wedge, right? But I don't think that's really something we can be too confident on. Obviously, we pulled this back down, so it does void it anyway. But I know a lot of people will only look at the closed positions and whatnot. But I don't think that's really what's going on. But this is basically primed for a bit of a move to the downside, in my opinion. We take a look at the stochastic here. You can see that we're almost back up in that overbought area. We are looking pretty primed across those other time frames, though. If we take a look at the 4 hour, we can see we're nice and low. 8 hour, we're nice and low. The 12 is now down and oversold. The 16 hours oversold, the 20 hours oversold, the daily obviously is not. So there's definitely going to be some movement to the upside. I just don't think we can do it straight away. I think we have to go down before we can go up. Now, some of this may have played out by the time this video goes live, so that's also fine. We can see that our 1-to-1 ratio here on our kind of ABC structure does come down to $16,593. Okay, so it could just be a wick that comes down into this low range, and then we can move on up. Or alternatively, we come down a little bit deeper, and let me show you why why I think this, right? If I actually go ahead and click here and I pull that over, we just see this is a measurement of 100%. We move this over to this high point that we've had just here, and we can see that we can come down to this dashed line approximately, if I just remove that off there, at $16,439. So therefore, we're kind of asking ourselves to come down into this little range here, somewhere between these two numbers, and we'll just draw this little yellow box on. Essentially, this will look like a three-wave structure like this. If I draw this in white, so you can kind of see it looks like that. ABC structure just coming down into this lower range. Okay, this is where I think we are likely to move on up. Now, as I said, this could be a wick, okay? It doesn't have to be anything too major. If we could just move down very, very quickly here in the course of just a couple of hours, and then all of a sudden, you know, move on up very, very rapidly. And again, I am thinking that we're probably going to be touching on the supply zone. If we don't quite make it back to the supply zone, there's going to be areas around here, as you can kind of see on this dash line, about 17,190, and all around the $17,000 level that could be the resistance lines for us. Because again, this could be a much bigger play going down as a part of the daily chart, right? The daily chart's very bearish, so just kind of keep that in mind. I say very bearish, but you know, we are talking about 13 to 14,000 in that kind of sweet spot and range down there. So essentially, we are looking at some kind of progression, but we don't move in straight lines in this market. We will be looking at some kind of move to the upside. I'm not confident on thinking that we're going to break this high point. I think this is done. This is set up here, and that, for the record, guys, is at 17,424. So I'm not expecting that to get broken. It can, of course. It wouldn't be the end of the world if it does. But I wouldn't expect it to. Okay, so my expectations are that we do move up, but we keep that high point as our local high, and then we can start to progress on down. So as I kind of scale this out a little bit, you can kind of see here, if I bring this in, you can kind of see the B wave. This is our daily play coming down into 13,200 to 14,700 approximately, and that's kind of where we're looking at. And you can kind of see that structure. Here you can see this move to the upside. This C wave actual movement here actually has to go up here. Okay, as we kind of broke out of this little bit here. Okay, so we have our C wave high point. We've broken down back into our demand zone area, and we don't really think we're going to move back up any higher than that. There's no requirement to do so. And in fact, all we'll probably end up doing is creating these kind of really choppy movements that then stack up into bigger structures on the daily chart, for example. So everything's looking pretty good. There isn't terribly too much to kind of note from the price action here. It does look like it is a bit of a move to the downside, but I said I'm not expecting it to be anything terribly too major before we move on up. In terms of the data that was going on chain and things like that, we can bring this up here. We can see that we're very, very flat in terms of inflows and outflows to the exchanges. Slightly more still leaving the exchanges. Obviously, during everything FTX, people are not comfortable staying on the exchanges for too long, so it doesn't surprise you that there's slightly higher in the way of outflows than inflows. In terms of wallet counts, we see the typical kind of things of retail money coming in or accumulating and that kind of stuff, but big money coming out. You can see that these whales have completely nosedived here. So again, pretty much standard stuff, the stuff that we talk about every single day. Nothing unusual about it. It is pretty much everything that we've been talking about, just kind of slowly coming to fruition. So essentially, yeah, on the micro time frames, I'm looking for a small move down. On the medium time frames, I'm looking for a move to the upside, and slightly macro, we are looking at downward price action here for BTC. Do join us down in Discord for more, and I will leave this video right there. If you found it useful, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new, make sure you subscribe and tap the bell to stay up to date with all of the notifications that and video content that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Discord is the main place that you want to be, though. Linked in the description below, guys. Until the next one, have a fantastic day.